beer festival without tasting paddles? How can you possibly experience all that it has to offer? No worries, I've got you covered there. I was recently at the Victorian Goldfields at a dark beer festival, mining for liquid gold, discovering what it was all about. And to give you a hint, it's all about this glass and this secret bit of paper. Hey everyone, I was recently at the Obsidian Dark Beer Festival in Ballarat in the heart of the Victorian Goldfields. Now this is the first time that this festival has ever been run in the history of the universe, and I have it on good authority from the universe itself that this is true and correct.
Hey universe, has this been run before? No. Making the trek there, it was evident that the day was going to be full of wet, freezing and miserable weather. No sunny Aussie beaches here. Just the perfect backdrop for diving into dark beers for 4 hours straight.
We're in Ballarat now, near the mining exchange where the Dark Beer Festival is, and it's about 7 degrees and it's friggin' cold, so these dark beers are just what I need right now.
The festival took place at the historic Ballarat Mining Exchange. Originally built in the late 1880s for trading mining shares. Today, it was all about trading dark beer.
Outside the mining exchange where Obsidian is, and it's kind of pissing down rain and it's cold, so really want to go in.
Though the 10-minute wait before opening did feel like about 10 years. Once you do get in, you receive a festival glass, made actually of glass instead of plastic, and a card featuring 28 beers from 14 breweries, though one sneaky brewery slipped in a cheeky 29th. Sadly, one brewery did have to bail last minute, leaving us with 27 to sample. That's only 6.75 tasters per hour. There were no tasting paddles either. Instead, each ticket included 100ml samples of each beer. Each included beer being a reason as to why this festival was so much better without having to buy tasting paddles. This freedom allows you to pace yourself through sessionable German Dunkels, coffee stouts, barrel-aged brews, and hoppy darks. Some potent stuff. The absence of constraints of having to order tasting paddles heightened the festival's lively atmosphere. It was liberating being able to take the time to explore each beer individually, rather than having to solve a Rubik's Cube just to navigate what beers you can and can't put on your paddle at any given time depending on what numbers they are or aren't, and then having to rush through the paddle before all the beers lose their head. Each beer was always at its best, straight from the tap. Getting a beer without having to pay at the time made it a much more friendly and sociable atmosphere. It was almost like a choose-your-own beer adventure. It certainly added to the overall intimate experience of the festival. Each taster was marked off on a card, with additional palate cleansers and drinks available for purchase that were not included on the card. I initially thought that palate cleansers at a dark beer festival were for weaklings who couldn't handle their dark beer, but as you can see from my card and from my favourite beer of the day, I was very wrong about this. I struggled to only get just over half, so maybe I'm the weakling. As added bonus, there was also live music and entertainment added to the immersive experience, and of course food was available as well. So what beers were actually at the festival, and what were my favourites? Let's firstly look at some honourable mentions. There was a Doppelbock by Bridge Road. Now, this was really pushing the limits of how pale a beer can be at a dark beer festival, but it was a surprising light in the dark. This was a sweet and malty beer with an earthy and floral aroma, caramel bread, and slightly savoury and peppery on the finish. It was certainly a well-appreciated point of difference. Auntie Jack's Torben Schwarzenweizen, a dark wheat beer in Australia. Oh my god, we have struck gold. All rejoice, man, I just love dark wheat beer. I mean, I decided to start a whole business around selling it. But this beer had strong banana vibes with caramel on the nose. The flavour was like a banana lolly mixed with bread dipped in caramel, and a slightly dark, fruity bitter finish, and a lingering savoury bread note. Oh, and this water thing, that was here too, and I actually remembered to have some of it on the day. It does make a difference. And for my tasting notes, I found that the water was wet. So of the beers that I did manage to get through, what were my 3 favourites? While at number 3 was Bell's Beach Groundswell number 3 Cherry and Bourbon Imperial Stout. And no, it's not number 3 because it is number 3. This had a tart cherry aroma, very smooth and chocolatey on the palate, and it was sweet like a dessert stout, very decadent. At number 2 was Bad Shepherd Barrel Aged Double Choc Hazelnut Brown. This was a brown ale aged in rum barrels that had hints of hazelnut and chocolate on the nose, and in the mouth had a smooth, almost oily mouthfeel with subtle hints of rum and raisins up front before giving way to this hazelnut and chocolate flavour. For my favourite beer of the day. Not sure whether this was because it was the last beer I had, so it's some recency bias coming in, or because it was a bit of a palate cleanser. Whatever the case may be, I gave it to Bridge Road B2 Bomber Mac 14. This is a firelized beer with heavy IPA vibes. It tasted very much like a black IPA. It had fruity hop notes of sweet citrus and stone fruit on the nose, with dark malt combined with resonant stone fruit on the tongue that gave this thick, resiny sensation. Overall, all 18 beers that I sampled were fantastic, each showcasing unique flavours and brewing creativity. It was a joy to explore all the nuances between the different beers and discover each brewery's distinct offerings and what they brought to the table at the festival.
Obsidian is a must visit, especially if you're a dark beer lover, you're a beer enthusiast, or you're just curious about exploring new flavours in the world of craft beer. This place is just a must visit for you. However, there was one problem and one thing that I didn't quite like about Obsidian, and it kind of had the same thing in common with Gabs.
Another beer festival where apparently there's a time limit and the beer can run out and the beer kicked out. It's fucking bullshit. Why can't we just have a beer festival that doesn't run out?
Enjoyed this video? Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any more amazing beer adventures. Anyway, thanks for watching guys, and until next time, cheers.